Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab cakes, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black drawers home. A little tartar too. Come on, little girl, tell me what you want to do. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. So come on, baby, let's get Louisiana down. If you see my crab cake, have you seen my crab cake? If you see my crab cake, tell I'm all alone. Tell her I still love her, and when she come back home.
Now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. Hope you're doing all right. Don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you need a limo and you're someplace in the United States, then you need to give my girl Cat a call. That's 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend ceremony get-together this year, which is November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Make sure you make your plans now. Visit the website, www.billycboxing.com, for all the information there. And just don't forget, when you call Kat, she's my girl, 202-351-7496. The show's also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich, the lawyers that keep my ass out of trouble. They should help you with your problems, too. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099, whether it's matrimonial law or whether it's, some paperwork. Maybe you need to change the will, your will to leave everything to me, or if you're buying a piece of property or selling a piece of property, or even if you got yourself into some trouble with a criminal case, you need to call Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call right now. Tell them Billy C said, I'll pick up the consultation fee, 845-221-4099. And, of course, my paisans down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. I was speaking with them yesterday. The tents are up, the tiki bar's set, the horseshoe pits, the bocce ball, the bonfire area, the beach ball, volleyball, all that whole outdoor section is up 100%. They're going to have a couple of live bands there over the weekend. I think one tonight, one tomorrow, one Sunday. Great weekend. Make your plans. Go up to the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. 518-792-4869 is the number. And don't forget, the food there is great. And if you're man or woman enough, try their wings and ask for the Billy C hot sauce. You got to ask for the special Billy C hot sauce. If you want Craig to make it, tell him you want Craig to make it. He makes it the best. 518-792-4869. That's the Halftime Bar and Grill. We got a busy show scheduled today. Hey, a couple of reminders right off the bat. Number one, don't forget we're doing a live post-fight show. We're opening up the phone lines immediately following the Miguel Cotto, Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight, which is taking place tomorrow night. So mark it down. I know everybody gets jacked up after the fights, and you want to talk and get your opinions out. Well, we're going to open up the phone lines, so get ready, man. Make sure you tune in right here, BillyCBoxing.com. Get into the chat room. We'll give you, let your opinions be heard through the chat room, and we'll open up the phone lines and take a caller at a time. So make sure you are doing that with us. We're going to have some guests. Steve Kim from Max Boxing's coming. John Iceman Scully's scheduled to come. My man Dax Khan, Alex Papali. They're all going to be calling in with their thoughts, and we want you to call in too. So make sure you do that. And the show, the whole post-fight show will be broadcast live on Fight Now TV, so we'll be looking forward to that as well. One other thing I wanted to mention, I talked about it yesterday, and, if you haven't seen it, Gleason's Gym down in Brooklyn, here's the thing. I mean, not only is it a famed gym, but they got this program right now. It's the fantasy camp, they call it. It's the 10th year they're doing it, and I love this program, man. Basically, you go away to this camp. It happens to be this year up in the Catskills, near the Catskills, Ellenville, and basically you train like you're training for a fight, and you fight, man. This is a great experience, and I love it. And the bottom line is, if you go up to up to our website, www.billycboxing.com, on the right-hand side, you'll see a banner that says Gleason's. Click it. It'll take you right to their website. Sign up for this, and tell them Billy C sent you. And, if you sign up, I'll tell you what, if we get some Billy C boxing viewers and listeners to sign up and go to this camp, we'll cover your stuff. We'll come and we'll cover your fight, man. We'll do a little story about you and focus on the fact that, of course, you're a Billy C boxing listener, and we'd love to do that. So if you have any dreams of becoming a fighter or just competing in a match like this with people similar to yourself, all the other sports do it with football and baseball fantasy camps. Hey, join in the reindeer games and go to this one. Make your reservation now. Tell Gleason's that Billy C sent you, and you're looking for a discount. All right. So, I got some fight results I wanted to talk about. First and foremost, there was a fight that took place Wednesday night. And they were a little slow getting the press out on this. I'm not sure why, but it didn't get out till yesterday. You can, that's what you got to set your homepage on Billy C Boxing for, because we are becoming the first people that have news posted on a regular basis. Now, there are times when we're not, but we are feverishly trying to be the quickest, and the traffic on the website is showing us that you guys are enjoying the site big time, and so much that it's going to be costing us a ton of money more a month since we got to move it to a different server now. But Vinny Matalone was the main event for yet another Star Boxing event. This was their VIP event. It's a black tie affair at Russo's on the Bay in Howard Beach, New York. That's Long Island, and he won via a knockout over Chris Covell, and a whole nother slew of great fights are on that card. It was sold out. Everybody just loved the time there. If you want to read some of the stuff on it, go visit the website, www.billycboxing.com. And one other thing, the WBC Junior Flyweight Champion, Comparak Freshmart. What's he like? Gonna, sign an endorsement deal with Kmart or what? But CP Freshmart, he improved to 45 wins, 3 losses, 30 of his wins coming by knockout when he won a technical decision over Jonathan Tacking, I think is how you say it. 13. Now he's 13 wins, 2 losses, and a draw over kind of a controversial fight. Compayak Freshmart was not. Well, let's just say he wasn't performing too well. He sustained not 1 but 2 cuts. The doctor finally stopped it. They went to the scorecard, and the scores were kind of all over the place, in my opinion. They stopped it after the 4th round. At the beginning of the 6th round. So they went to the scorecards up to round 5. 47-47 was the way one judge saw it. Another one had it 48-46, and a third had it 50-45. Talk about being all over the place. One last thing I want to mention: our thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to the family of Andy Ganigan, who passed away in his home in Las Vegas. He was 59 years old. He was suffering from liver cancer, and finally succumbed to that yesterday. So our thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to the friends and family of Andy Ganigan. So, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I got some mailbags. And could it be the return of given quality? Let's see.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IDO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IDO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day. Everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. Check out our website, www.billycboxing.com. And don't forget about LDL TV, my man John. Yeah, he's too good for us. Forget John. You got my girlfriends over there. I got two gorgeous girlfriends over there. Well, I guess I got one. I guess I got none. I don't know. You got to wonder what's even going on there. But you got two gorgeous women over there, and my girl Michelle, of course, and Dawn. Can't forget her. But anyway, hey, one thing I wanted to mention as I have this issue with our sound machine. I thought maybe I hit the button wrong, but it just crapped out on me. Imagine that. Uh-oh. I hope that doesn't mean the phone systems are going to be pulling that crap as well. But, I had an interesting visit yesterday. Before I get to the mailbags, I had an interesting visit yesterday. There's a new place in upstate New York in Whitehall. In case you're wondering where the hell Whitehall is, it's actually near Vermont. It's on the border of New York and Vermont, close to it anyway. And it's actually got a piece of history. It's the birthplace of the American Navy. Our Navy was born in Whitehall, New York. But anyway, the reason why I'm mentioning it is because I'm going to be doing a show there, a pro boxing event in July. And it's really cool place. It's called the Whitehall Athletic Club, and it used to be the Armory. And I got a tour of the place yesterday, and it is, I tell you, man, if you've always wanted to join like a club, well, this is an athletic club, but like a country club type of a thing, they got a shooting gallery in and outdoors. They have fishing, they have boating, they have a golf course, they have these live sporting events, they have multiple restaurants, they have a full gym, they have a whole boxing facility, they have basketball. I mean, it's a great thing, man. And what I like about it is that it's in an area where there would be a lot of people going for different tourist reasons. So stay tuned for that. It's called the Whitehall Athletic Club, and they're in the process of getting a website and all of that. I believe it's going to be WhitehallAthleticClub.com. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what it is. WhitehallAthleticClub.com. Check it out, man, and give him a call and tell him Billy C sent you. That's a good thing. Tell him Billy C sent you. Yeah. But anyway, I got some mailbags. Yeah, of course, the favorite section of the show, right? And man, I got a long-winded comment in the chat room that Rob, man, I'm gonna read it, but I gotta wait till the break, man. Jeez, I can't. Sometimes I could read it during all at the same time while I'm chewing gum and doing the show and everything else. But man, it's a pretty tough one. That's a long one. So give me a minute. But my man Given Quality, he's back, and he's back. Yep. He says, he's got a couple of emails for me. He says, damn, Billy, I go away for a week, and all you got is fake fans and suck up to your ridiculous comments coming out. Ever since your tirade about pro Floyd Mayweather Jr. fans you have brought up Mayweather yourself. Excuse me, he's referring to about us talking about talking too much about all the fans. But one thing I gotta say before I continue Giving Quality is we had gotten a bunch of emails from other listeners that were sick of hearing from it. It wasn't only my tirade. I had a little rant about Floyd recently, but most of the reasons, most of the complaints weren't coming from me. I was just reading the emails. So, but hey, I thought enough was enough myself. But anyway, you're saying that I've brought up Mayweather myself. Yeah, at times I do, and incidentally, he is fighting this week, so that's why we're talking about him this week. He goes on to say, you don't need me to instigate the topics because subliminally you're going to hear me and remember the videos I sent. You're right about that, man. Every time I think of Floyd Mayweather now, I think of my man Given Quality, so there's no question about that. But just to make myself clear, the bottom line is, I admit I don't like Floyd the man, all right? I'm not going to deny his skill in the ring as a fighter, and I won't. I question certain things, and everybody knows, what my feelings are. But a lot of the negativity about too much Mayweather was coming from other listeners. So keep that one, close to your heart there. And Given Quality says this might be the biggest fight in regards to, and now he's referring to, of course, the big fight this weekend, Cotto and Mayweather. He says this fight might be the biggest in regards to having the most sponsors ever involved. That's interesting, and I have a tendency to agree with Given Quality because there are a lot of people on board with this particular fight, which is good stuff. I think it's good. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the only athlete with no endorsement deal, but he makes more money than all the other athletes with endorsement deals. I understand. I know that sounds contradictory, but what he means is that he doesn't have a signed contract with, let's just say, Nike, for example, but they all pay him a lot of money for one-time promotions, which is the truth. And you know what? Given Quality, let's face it, he's not. You see, I know you're blind to Floyd, and you think he's this, superhero or whatever. But, he's not a likable guy. Companies would tie themselves to him for the event, but I could see why they wouldn't want to tie themselves to him as a representative of their product long term. When you see the guy from Subway, for example, Jared or an athlete like not Andy Lee, who's that? Mike Lee is like the boxer for Subway, which is a joke in itself. But anyway, they want to tie themselves to somebody long term, and you think of like George Foreman, you think of the grill, you think of him, he used to do Meineke commercials too, and they associate their product with a name. I could see why they wouldn't want to associate themselves with Mayweather because you never know what he's going to do. And he said, come on, face it, he says some really stupid stuff. But again, that's not criticizing his ability inside the ring. So I think Given Quality makes a good point here, and it's pretty cool actually. He says that ESPN is saying that Floyd Mayweather got $40 million, not even including all the back end money against Ortiz. In the new Money Issue magazine. He says, let's see Pac gross that versus Ortiz or any other top-rigged fighter. That's what he calls top-ranked, that Aram sets up. The contradictions you have been spewing this week are low, even for a hater like you. Give it a break. My ears are bleeding. My ears bleed every time I read your love affair with Floyd Mayweather. Listen, I spew on the same topics over and over about Floyd. And as far as his quality inside the ring, I'm not going to dispute it. My only hang-up is I can't stand the man. I think he's a punk. I think he surrounds himself with punks. And the bottom line is I want to see him in a really good fight. I want to see him prove to me that he indeed has heart and not just, like my man George says, not just pride. And maybe we never will see it. Maybe we won't find somebody that's going to match up well with him. I don't know. But the bottom line is I think this week, I think that the fight is going to be a little closer than people think. So anyway, I'm glad to have you back, Given Quality. Really, keep it up. I got an email from my man, or I don't know who T. Bruce is. Is that a man or a woman? I'm assuming it's a man. He says, Floyd has never weighed a pound over 150. When he fought Oscar, he accidentally came in at 148 and couldn't gain the extra 2 pounds. As for Manny Pacquiao, plenty of fighters have gone up in weight, but all of them lose speed or power. Pac-Man went up in weight, and his power was devastating. This guy has broken super middleweights' faces, knocked out guys, banged them up, knocked down Mosley, who has only been knocked down by a super middleweight. I think you mean junior middleweight. It's not about Pac's weight. It's about the things he took with him and added when he went up in weight. Not saying he's on steroids, just saying people have a reason to accuse him. And Aaron made this silly comment, and I quote, Floyd saw a child actor playing Manny in a Hennessy commercial and thought it was actually Manny. That response was stupid. It almost seemed like a media spin. Sounds like it definitely was a media spin. I never heard that. Manny's head changed in a 2-year period. When Manny fought Oscar, he was 144. When he fought Cotto, he was the same weight. When he fought Oscar, he was skinny with a baby face. But when he fought Cotto, that's when we were introduced to that little stocky muscle man with the strong jawline. And by the way, Manny doesn't have angles. He's just wild. And his fans called it angles. Not only that, but Manny is predictable against Mosley. He got frustrated, and after that, it was left, right all night. First of all, we all age at some point, and, our features change. I do joke about Manny Pacquiao having muscles in his face, which is not too common. But again, I believe in we're innocent until proven guilty. As far as power, again, you guys that are big Floyd fans never seem to give, Freddie Roach any credit for basically leashing this, controlling his whole MO, his whole arsenal of stuff, and I disagree strongly about just wild punches. He comes in at different angles. He's delivering punches from different angles. Wild. You want to watch a wild puncher? Watch Bernard Hopkins when he decides to throw punches. That's wild. That's a fighter that doesn't throw punches with any kind of smoothness. Manny Pacquiao can deliver a punch from down below, up above, overhand, side to side, and they're fluent and they're coming in pretty quick. I think he's got a tendency to be a little wild, but I would lean a little more on angles other than wildness. That's for sure with Manny. So and the other thing that you said about the left-right against Mosley and the frustration. We all agree that Manny Pacquiao showed a little too much respect for Sugar Shane Mosley in that fight. To me, they were touching gloves so much. I thought they were going to get a hotel room. But I forget who said it. It might have been Scott. It might have been Alex. One of the guys from the show said that he I think it was Scotty. He said he believes that, ever since that Manny became involved in the politics, that his humanitarian efforts may have squashed his killer instinct in the ring. And, that very well could be. And the Manny Pacquiao that would have given Floyd a good fight maybe is gone for good, but we'll never know. Hey, I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would
think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.kofantasyboxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.kofantasyboxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.kofantasyboxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent you.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy C.
I did not have...
We're going to have to ask
wrong
you.
Speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C., a radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel, and if you don't have the Fight Now television channel added to your sports channel lineup, then you need to give your local television provider a call and tell them that you want it. Tell them that you want it right now. And now's a great time because of all the extended coverage that Fight Now has given to the Cotto-Mayweather fight. It began on Tuesday. Make sure you check out the weigh-ins today. Visit their website, www.fightnow.com, for the latest schedule. And especially, don't forget about us being live immediately following the Cotto-Mayweather fight. We're going to open up the phone line, so we're going to want to hear from you. So the best thing to do is get into our chat room, and we'll voice your opinions on the air, and we'll be giving out the phone number for you to call in and bring you on the air. And speaking about getting on the air, joining us right now, I think it's still snowing out there in Colorado. My man Marty Mulcahey, what's up, brother?
Hey, good morning. Hey, listen, I'm going to have to call you back. You're fading in and out this time.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, bye.
Yeah, I already hear the echo, 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 and the phone. Hey, I don't want to jinx it. Well, maybe I shouldn't. But you know what? The phone system has been pretty solid, hasn't it? I can't remember the last time we dropped the call. Well, that particular call wasn't that great. But, the other thing is the sound system has been kind of terrible, but not that one. Hey, I got one more mailbag to read, and I'll do that after we chat with my man Marty, because obviously we got some important things to discuss, like some fight that's happening this weekend. Is that better?
Much better. I can hear everything now.
Oh, good.
You know how I hang on every word you say.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know that.
Don't you dictate your whole day based on what I say? I mean, come on, man. But hey, before we get started with a couple of mediocre fights scheduled for this weekend, Bernard Hopkins and Chad Dawson met in another bore fight. You know what? I mean, I thought it was kind of boring, to tell you the truth. And I was looking, huh?
And I wouldn't even put kind of in front of it. It was a boring fight, and anybody who saw the first fight, I don't think anyone expected it to be exciting, so it pretty much lived down to its expectations.
Yeah, well, I thought that Chad had an opportunity to really. I mean, we've put Chad Dawson kind of on this pedestal for a long time, and And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be there, Marty, because, he definitely displays all the talent and everything else. But, the more I think of him, the harder it becomes to think of one of those dynamic performances that just stick in my mind. It's like I can't even remember who he fought sometimes, and I felt that he really needed one of those performances against Bernard Hopkins for two reasons. One, to help himself, and two, to help us rid the sport of Bernard. And I think he failed on both fronts.
Yeah, but remember what I told you last week. Bernard Hopkins, he was going to beat Bernard Hopkins because he wasn't afraid to look bad and because he's not afraid of the bruise. If he would have went out and charged after Bernard Hopkins, he would have lost that fight. That's what Bernard Hopkins wants. He wants the other person to come at him, to make mistakes, and he exploits those mistakes. So Chad Dawson didn't make mistakes. And in order not to make mistakes, most people slow down. They think about what they're doing, and that's what Chad Dawson did with a lot of help from John Scully. So I think he fought the perfect fight. And the only fight in the past that I really enjoyed with him was against Thomas Adamek. And that's where he was made to fight. He was forced to fight. So when somebody forces him to fight, he'll fight back, and he looks actually pretty exciting. But when he's in control of the fight, he's just too safety conscious, and he'll beat the other guy because he's just simply superior, but it's not going to be exciting. He's another version of Hopkins, is one way of putting it. He's an intelligent guy in there who can get everything done without putting himself in too much danger.
Well, at the times that he did exert himself, the way John Scully was begging him to in between from the third round on, he kept saying, dude, you're in tremendous shape. Let your hands go. Let your hands go. And it's true. Chad Dawson I didn't even see him look remotely tired during any part of that fight. And the times that they did, exchange, if you want to call it that, I thought he got the better of Bernard. And yes, Bernard Hopkins showed his defensive ability many times, slipping punches and with his great head. He still has good head movement. I can't take that from B-Hop.
He has great head movements when he's putting it into the other guy's face.
My goodness, have you ever seen?
There was a lot of headbutts in there, and that also makes you hesitant. I mean, if there was one drawback to John Scully, I think he was ignoring that cut a little bit too much, and why that cut happened. If he would have kept going after Hopkins and kept trying to boss the fight on the inside or trying to wrestle him around, he would have got more headbutts, and maybe that fight is stopped, in the 7th or 8th round, and it was still close on the card.
Yeah, well, the thing I can't stand about Bernard is that he definitely intentionally headbutts. I mean, he did that 2 headbutt combination with the cut. The first was the forehead to the chin, face area, teeth area, and then he followed that up with a quick side headbutt, and that's what opened up that cut. And what pisses me off about that is that you get those kind of cuts, and they constantly open up for the rest of a fighter's career. And
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's something. Where that was on the side of the temple, that is that's what I'm feeling a little bit with Cotto in the fight against Mayweather that we're probably going to talk about a little bit later. He has cut problems delayed as well, and you're right that could haunt Chad Dawson down the road here. But the thing with Dawson is, I didn't expect this to be exciting. I thought he'd win the fight. I don't know. I know, the legacy of Bernard Hopkins, he keeps pulling out fights, but this was just the one bridge too far. This guy was just, and Chad Dawson, let's give him this, he was not mentally intimidated at all. That was the key to beating Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he didn't beat him bad enough because we're going to be subjected to more Hopkins, which just makes me sick. On the undercard, we got to see Seth Mitchell and Chaz Witherspoon, and although everybody's speaking highly of Seth Mitchell at this point, all I saw was a guy that would literally get murdered by either Klitschko, because when Chaz fought that first round and used his jab, Seth Mitchell had no answer for it. I think what lost the fight for Chaz was Chaz coming after him and trying to go toe-to-toe and just abandoning the jab. I can't recall him throwing another jab after that first round. What's your thoughts on Chaz's loss and Seth's win?
I think you put it the right way there. Chaz is lost. You're right. He had the fight in his hands in the first couple rounds. But the proverbial puncher's chance. When you got a big punch like Seth Mitchell, you're in every fight. So it's hard to count him out of any fight. I think that when he does move up, and when I'm talking about Mitchell here, he is going to be in trouble. I keep coming back to this with boxers who come to the sport late. When you come to the sport, in past your 20s, when you not flunked out of, but when you can no longer compete at the highest level of your chosen sport, like basketball or football, and come to boxing late, you just don't have the mental wherewithal, I think. I think the real true champions in boxing, they grow up with the sport, and they live in the gym, and they almost through osmosis pick up little tricks that Seth Smith has not done yet. And in the first 2-3 rounds, when Chaz was putting a jab in his face, you're right, Mitchell looked confused. He didn't have the answer. He didn't have, plan B. And when plan B is not going to work out against Chaz Mitchell, who is at best, a lower top 20 guy who hadn't been in the ring for a long time but has the physical gift, neither Mitchell nor Chaz Witherspoon have the mental gifts of boxing, I think. Just not because they're not intelligent. Both of these guys are college graduates and really intelligent men, but just because they have not been in the sport long enough. They haven't picked everything up, and they don't know what to do when the fight is going against them. Chaz Witherspoon ruined it by getting in there and accepting that punch, taking the chances, no longer throwing a punch off the jab. And when Mitchell, the one thing he has is pure power. But I don't think pure power is going to beat these European heavyweights who are more educated, who won't make the mistakes that Chaz Witherspoon made.
I see a lot of heavyweights, at least in our top 10 that we have in our ratings. I think almost every one of them beat Seth Mitchell, so we'll have to wait and see. Hey, he has
that punch to Chaz, and the other thing is he is improving. Chaz Witherspoon, despite his mistakes that he made and not having followed late, he had the reflexes, and he wasn't intimidated by Seth Mitchell, which I think some of his other opponents had been. And that's another thing we talked about with Chad Dawson, and especially with heavyweights. If you come into a fight with not being intimidated, that's a key aspect of boxing. And I think clearly that some of the previous opponents to Mitchell were intimidated before they got in there. And like I said, you're not going to see that with these European fighters when he steps up to their level or goes over to Europe, because they have vast amateur backgrounds, and they spar. Germany, where many of these heavyweights are hanging out at, just they have fantastic sparring, and that is the highest level right now. And I think I was watching some of Box Nation online, and Frank Warren said, "Hey, if Seth Mitchell wants to fight Derek Chisora, he'll start that fight right now." And I think Derek Chisora would beat Seth Mitchell.
I think I'm telling you, if you go look at the Billy C. Boxing top 10 in the heavyweights, there's not, including Boystorf, there's not a heavyweight in our top 10 that I don't think couldn't beat Seth Mitchell.
That would be an exciting fight. Him and Boystorf.
Yeah, what about even Helenas? Even Helenas, all those guys, I think they beat him. But anyway, one other fight I wanted to ask you about from last week that we virtually did not talk about was Thomas Uthenhuizen, or however you say it, and his win over Marcus Johnson. This kid is fun to watch. He's big. He seems to have all the tools. With the exception of maybe working on his defense a little bit. I think he's the real deal. What do you think?
He's a southpaw. He throws combinations on the inside, which you really don't see much in boxing anymore. Maybe because the referees don't allow boxers to fight on the inside. But I loved it when he got on the inside and threw like 4 or 5 punches to the body and then ended with a hook to the head. And he's a super middleweight. This is not a featherweight or a bantamweight where we're used to seeing that. His volume didn't drop. He did everything right. He was really impressive in this fight. And if you look at the one fight, that was a draw, it was against another, Isaac Jalemba, another really tough, awkward fighter. And that is no stain on his record at all. I think he fought him before his 15th fight. Ustian, not only is he legitimate at 168 and is a threat to any of the top guys, you're right, he's exciting. So even if he were to lose to Andre Ward, any of the top 10 guys, Butte, Frosch, you're going to want to see him again. That's just the way he fights. Maybe there could be a factor with him as far as cuts down the road, because he does do a lot of infighting because he's so tall. It just makes headbutts and cuts much more likely to happen. But really fun fighter, and this is a guy to keep an eye on. He's almost like a superior Michael Casitas as far as superior boxer, but it's the same exciting style.
That was the fight, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Vic Draculich was the referee in that fight, wasn't he? I know he was on one of those fights. Was that the one?
I'm not sure to tell you the truth. Like I said, there was so you didn't even see the referee in a fight that much because, like I said, they were just consistent. And give his opponent some credit too. He came to fight. He was throwing back. He was just overwhelmed by the pressure and once he saw he couldn't hurt Ustias, and that's the other thing. It looks like he has a solid chin as well. And going against Isaac Chilemba the way they did in that war that they had in South Africa, that was the kind of test you needed to prepare yourself for a title fight. And Ustias, he's passing all the tests. I think he's ready for a title fight, despite his age. I think he's not even 25 yet.
Yeah, he's young. Well, what I noticed about Draculich, a lot of people, and if it wasn't that fight, it was another decent one. It might have been the Valley fight, but people are I know they're critical of him at times, but one thing I admire about him, and of course the guy from Randy Newman. Both of these guys let fighters fight inside, and you mentioned a couple of minutes ago how most refs don't do that anymore. And that brings me to the big fight for this weekend, Miguel Cotto against Floyd Mayweather. And I believe that the only chance that Cotto has is if he's able to fight inside the way Ricky Hatton wanted to, and lands body shots, not body shots in the breadbasket, but body shots, right and left hooks to the side of the rib cage. And if he's able to do that to Floyd, because Floyd lets you in a way, because he feels very comfortable against the ropes, and he feels that his cinnamon roll defense is impenetrable. And I just think that if Cotto can land some body shots, that's his only chance. Give us your thoughts on this whole fight.
Yeah, not just body shots. You're right. He has to punch to the chest area. It was like Rocky Marciano back in the day. It wasn't really the headshots that got you in the first 3-4 rounds. It was the continuous beating that he put on people. He hit him in the shoulders. He hit him in the arms. If you're covering with your elbow to the ribs, you hit your elbow. That's what Cotto has to do. He just has to keep making contact. Try to rough up Floyd Mayweather a bit. I'm rooting for him. I hope he does it. I just don't see anybody defeating Mayweather at this stage. I really like from what I'm seeing in the 24/7 episodes, I really like what trainer Pedro Diaz is doing, bringing a lot of science to some of the old school methods he brought from Cuba, kind of integrating both of them together and morphing them in a unique style. And I think it worked good against Margarito, but Mayweather is just a totally different animal. Mayweather's not going to be coming at Cotto. Well, let me rephrase that a little bit. He did come after Victor Ortiz a little bit, so maybe Floyd Mayweather is changing a little bit more, and he's going to try to become more offensive, in the later stages of the career where he's filled out completely physically, and he thinks maybe he can handle some of the punishment more. So I'm rooting for Cotto. He has the accuracy, and when he was coming up, he was a fantastic body puncher. He got away from that a little bit, and he was also much better defensively coming up. But like you were talking about earlier, the cut, I think that could be a problem. Mayweather, when he does land, he lands punches flush, and they can be slicing. So I think he can kind of hurt Cotto that way. The only real advantage that Cotto has is an age, and when you look at the just physical age, he has that. But when you look at him on film, it looks like Cotto's aged much more than Mayweather over the years. Also, when Mayweather's been forced to fight against Oscar De La Hoya in the early rounds, when Shea Mosley buzzed him, he fought back. He has that fighter's heart, that fighter's instinct. And also against Victor Ortiz, if you challenge him, he usually rises to the occasion. So I just don't think Cotto has the speed to deal with Mayweather. And I think speed is what's really going to beat Mayweather because he sees the punches coming. The power punches, if he sees the punch coming, he's going to evade it and counter right away. And I think he's going to see every one of Cotto's punches coming.
I agree. Cotto's defense is questionable. He's very susceptible to hand speed and counter punching. At times, when he gets when those shots are being landed, it's almost like it freezes him, and he doesn't even throw punches back. And I think Floyd will be able to tattoo him at will. However, and I hate to say this, but the way to beat Floyd is to fight and please grab something, sit down. You're going to be shocked at the words that are going to come out of my mouth. But if Floyd Mayweather fought the way Bernard Hopkins fights, if Miguel Cotto fought Floyd Mayweather the way B-Hop fights, he's got a chance. He needs to rough it up. He needs to piss off Mayweather. You see, I think, and I've questioned Mayweather's heart. I don't think that he has heart. I think my friend George said it best, that he's got more pride than heart. And the more I think of that line that George gave me, the more I agree with it, because when I look back at those times, the time that you mentioned, like when Shane Mosley stunned him and when Victor Ortiz launched his headbutt at him, what does Floyd do? Floyd kind of, one thing that we always give Floyd credit for is his ability to maintain composure. But at those two instances, I noticed that Floyd he kind of lost his composure. He went right after Sugar Shane to show that he could, have power as well. He went back and retaliated 10 times more with Victor Ortiz. And I believe that if a guy like Cotto roughed him up a bit, maybe even, I don't like illegal tactics, but maybe even, bump into him a little bit with his head or hit him below the belt a little bit here and there, and get Mayweather out of his calm, cool, and collective mode, and have Mayweather start doing things out of the ordinary. That's when I think he's vulnerable. And the other part of Mayweather that I think is vulnerable, and again, both of these issues are just my opinion because he hasn't been tested yet, is his ability to listen to his corner in between rounds when that's happening. I think Floyd thinks he does it all on his own, and I think that when push comes to shove, he's not going to listen to his corner. What do you think?
You might be right about the corner portion, but I just think that, I was talking before about fighters growing up in the gym. Mayweather grew up in the gym. He knows the ins and outs of boxing. He has more muscle memory than maybe any boxer, walking the planet right now. And the other thing is, let's say you're right. Let's say Cotto does rock Mayweather and get him stunned. Cotto's not a clinical finisher. If you look at him, he rarely knocks the guy, takes the guy out with one punch, or once he gets the guy on the canvas, he keeps him there. Usually, if he knocks him down, you look at Paulie Malignaggi, you look at Zab Judah, you look even at Margarito, they get back up and he lets them escape. You can't give Mayweather a second chance. I think Cotto needs absolutely everything to go right for him to win, and there's too many intangibles working against him with Mayweather.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be a closer fight. Now let's take a look at...
Oh, I hope it is. This is the pay-per-view is outrageous. I mean, they have to pay $60 to see this when the undercard is absolutely putrid. It sucks. I mean, you have Jesse Vargas and DeAndre Lattimore as the first two opening fights. The only reason they're there is because they're both Mayweather fighters. Those are not pay-per-view fights. Those are throwaways. Saul Alvarez against Sugar Shane Mosley, you have a clear favorite. I think that Mayweather is a clear favorite. So this is not in any way pay-per-view worthy. So it better be an exciting fight at the top, because everything else really speaks to a boring fight card.
See, now I'm apparently I'm in the minority. I think
you are.
I think that the Cotto is going to give Mayweather a tougher fight than people think.
I'm hoping so. Like I said, I'm really impressed by Pedro Diaz, and I'm hoping as well. But look back, what Mayweather fight has been exciting. It's not on Cotto. Cotto makes exciting fights. It's Mayweather. Mayweather has never produced excitement, and that's what I'm afraid of here.
Well, you know what? Cotto has displayed heart. Cotto is a tough guy, and I don't know if Floyd can hurt him. I really don't. Manny busted him up. Yeah, he got busted up by and Margarito. See, the thing that scares me about Cotto is that Margarito was able to catch up with him. And, if a guy like that, who's a dinosaur, who can't throw punches very quickly, if he can catch up with Cotto, then, what's a guy like Floyd going to do?
But remember why Margarito was able to catch up to him. It's because Cotto was going backwards during large stretches of it. Remember, he was up on his toes. He was bouncing. He was moving backwards. He was making Margarito coming at him and countering him. It's not going to be... Mayweather wants you to come at him. And maybe, looking at it, now that I mention it like that, maybe that's the way to beat Mayweather, is to force him to come at you. Because Zab Judah did a little bit and was pretty successful in the early round. And, once Mayweather figured out De La Hoya after the first 5 rounds, Dennis swung in his favor. But maybe if Mayweather's coming forward and he can't figure out Cotto, which, given Mayweather, he's like, like Azuma Nelson called himself a professor. I think Mayweather really is the professor. I mean, as much as I can't stand him as a braggart for what he does outside of the ring, inside the ring, he's just an artist. He's fantastic to watch.
Yeah, well, I can't argue with his ability inside the ring, but like you, I can't stand him outside the ring, and I wish nothing but the worst.
And it's almost like Ali, back in the 60s. He said, half the people, tune in to see me win, the other half tune in to see me lose, and I collect from both parties. That's what Mayweather's doing.
Right. Real quick, what about the Shane Mosley and Saul Alvarez fight? Many people think Shane is crazy to take this fight. He's never been stopped. He hasn't looked that great in his last couple of fights. Alvarez is a young fighter, but the one thing I've always said about him is he seems technically sound. How's he going to do against Mosley?
I think he's going to walk right through him. Not because, because this is not the Shane Mosley we're used to seeing. This is a shell of himself. He's 40. He hasn't won a fight since 2009. Sergio, he looked normal, average against Sergio Mora, who's awkward but is no top 10 guy. And I think Saul Alvarez is legit. And I love everything that Saul Alvarez is doing. I mean, the guy's 21, and he's already had 40 fights. He's nearing 300 rounds. The guy is everything you want a fighter to be, as far as how often he gets in the ring and how good he looks doing it. So, yeah, I think Saul Alvarez is just going to walk through Shane Mosley and get a late stoppage. When I was writing my preview, the one fight that kept coming up in my head, that I compare it to historically, is Rocky Marciano against Joe Louis. I think this is what this is going to be.
Interesting, and that's a good analogy. I know you got to go, but Captain Huck and Ola Afolobi.
Yes. That is the fight of the weekend.
It is. And Ola Afolobi is, I think, grossly underrated. I mean, this guy has been in some tough fights, and I absolutely love Huck. How do you like this fight?
He's gotten much better. But the competition, I'm talking about Ola Afolabi here, has not been fantastic. Valery Budov is a lower top 10, top 15 guy. Got rid of him easily. The other guy, Terry Dunstan, was an okay fighter. He got rid of him easily. Marco Huck is an entirely different creature. Anybody who's seen him against when he moved up to heavyweight and challenged Povetkin, this guy, he went up to heavyweight and was physically pushing around a solid heavyweight, a big heavyweight. And he's just too strong at cruiserweight, just really is. The only concern I have is, if you think about it, that Povetkin fight, a draining fight, a really tough fight, that was only 2 months ago. And now Marco Huck is coming back and fighting another tough challenger. I think that's the only thing I'm scared of, where he's taking too many tough fights in a row. And I admit it, right now, Marco Huck is my favorite fighter to watch. He's exciting. He doesn't take a backward step. He fights often. He ducks no one. In fact, he challenges himself. He goes out and looks for the most difficult opponent. If you look at the other champions, they're steering clear of Afolabi, and for good reasons, because he is a solid fighter. The other guy, Denis Lebedev, he took him on when nobody knew him, and just a tough SOB, and had an incredible fight with him. So Marco Huck is everything you want your champion to be, and he's a great person outside the ring. He does a lot of charity work. Just a complete guy. Like I said, he's become my favorite fighter over the last 2 years, and I'm rooting for him. I think he will beat Afolabi. He's beaten him before, and while Afolabi's gotten better, I also think Marco Huck's gotten better. This is a guy who used to be a kickboxer. He wasn't always, just a pure boxer, so he's still learning, and he's also got a really good trainer. So everything that Huck is, I hope he goes back up to the heavyweights. I just want him to do good because I want other people to appreciate him the way I appreciate him.
I thought he won the fight against Povetkin, to be honest with you.
So did I.
I was talking with Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, and he's telling me that Rahman's looking great. I had to cover the phone because I was laughing so hard to myself. I just think that's a total joke that Hasim Rahman has has become the mandatory defense for Alexander Povetkin. I think that's a joke.
WBA for you. What can you do? What gets me is that he's not even a champion. Vladimir Klitschko is the real WBA champion. So, I wish people would quit referring to Alexander Povetkin as the real champion, because he's not. And the other thing is, now that they're forced, this is a good B-level fight. This shouldn't be a championship fight, because simply he's not the champion. And they're treating like Hasim Rahman is getting real title shots. It's not the real title.
But it's a belt. It's just
a belt, yeah. But that's how
I agree with you.
The championships have become that people are looking at this as a championship fight. I mean, people have to remember, Vladimir Klitschko is a real WBA champion, not Alexander Povetkin.
I agree with you. I agree 100% that it's a joke. But the TV networks and the promoters and the managers and the fighters claim it's a world title. You know what he said to me when I was talking to Eddie Mustafa Muhammad? He says, "Yeah, I got my fighter fighting in the World Heavyweight Championship coming up." And I said to myself, "Man, I wonder who he's fighting. I wonder who he's managing." And I'm saying, I know he's not with Tony Thompson, and I'm thinking, who's fighting Klitschko's,
Yeah.
And he mentions Rahman, and I swear, I started laughing. I had to move the phone away from my mouth, and I didn't want, no disrespect. I mean, come on, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, I love the guy, but no disrespect, but come
Back
on.
When he was Eddie Gregory, he was a legend.
Yeah.
Not a legend, but, a really, really solid fighter.
But anyway, well, listen, Marty, enjoy the fights this week. One last question. What do you think of Chris John and Soji Kimura? I've always thought that Chris John is a little overrated. I know he's got all of these great title defenses and everything else, but he hasn't really fought the creme de la creme of the division.
Well, remember, he did beat legitimately. I watched that fight a couple of times. It was close, but he legitimately beat Juan Manuel Marquez in Indonesia. He came over to the USA and got robbed in his first fight against Rocky Juarez. But, he's fought in the USA. He's fought in Japan. That's what I give him respect for. He's been fighting at the highest level, and rarely in his home base, he has been going to Japan. And this fighter that they're bringing in right now just doesn't have the power, I think, to beat Chris John. John just has a perfect jab. He's still young enough to see all the punches coming and get them on reflexively. I think that when he's going to have problems is as he ages. He's not a speed demon to start with, and once he can no longer, he has long arms. He blocks a lot of these shots, but once he no longer sees the punches coming and he can evade them, that's when he's going to start having problems. I think he's still got 1-2 good solid years in him.
I'd like to see him now. He's featherweight. I'd like to see him fight Gamboa.
Yeah. Well, is Gamboa still featherweight? We don't even know. They've been trying to make that fight for almost 2 years now. Because remember, it was another one of those situations where John was the real champion and Gamboa had, the regular quote-unquote championship. So if you look at Gamboa, he never really won a featherweight title simply because Chris John had the title he was going after, and they never made that fight.
Well, Gamboa, last shots of him, he's with Mayweather Promotions now, and last shot I saw him, he looked huge, man, big and strong. I mean, I love that guy. I wish.
So do I. I just wish I could see more of him.
I hear you. Well, I'm sure he's got a lot. I'm sure he's got a court battle coming up with Top Rank, but we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, Marty, enjoy the weekend and some great fights, and we'll be looking forward to you next week, my man.
Yeah, it should be really fun, especially if you're able to watch, the Huck card or on the internet. If I find a good stream for it, I'll pass it along, and I encourage everybody, on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, go. If you don't have Box Nation like you do over in England, but if you can find a stream, catch that Huck Afolabi fight. I think it's going to be really good, and there's also a good undercard fight between Kubrat Pulev and Adrian Dimitrenko, which is really a 50-50 pick'em fight. Yeah,
I've seen Pulev live, and he's slow and methodical, and he doesn't have as much power as they're billing him to be. So you're right. That is a good fight. Hey, by the way, make sure after the Cotto-Mayweather fight, you come on over into the chat room. We're going to be broadcasting live on Fight Now, and if you got some time, we'd love to have you come on and give us your thoughts. Yeah, actually, I'm going to do that. I heard, like I said, you were breaking up at the beginning, but I heard that in the intro thoughts. I would definitely do that. Sounds good, my man. Have a good one. Fantastic. Hope everybody enjoys the fight. All right, take care. That's my man, Marty Mulcahey, Max Boxing, and you heard it. He's going to be dropping in on our post-fight show that we're doing immediately following the Cotto-Mayweather fight right here on Fight Now. And speaking of Fight Now, I got to take a break. I'm over.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C., a radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. That's right. And if you don't have it, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Check out their website for all the latest information about the site, www.fightnow.com, about the channel, I should say. And speaking of the channel, great week to sign up for it now. We have extended coverage on the Cotto-Mayweather fight. It began on Tuesday, and today we're going to have the weigh-ins, and then tomorrow the undercard, and then the post-fight show with yours truly. So check out their website for the updated schedule of events, www.fightnow.com. We got some news that I wanted to talk about. I mentioned the Manalone fight. I mentioned some other stuff that's going on, but first I have one more mailbag to read here, one more email as part of our mailbag. This is from Canadian Fight Fan. He says, "Shut the F up, Ellaby. You are a joke. LOL." I guess he's quoting me from the yesterday's show. I got so irritated by Leonard Ellaby's punkish comment at the press conference, where, Mayweather, who, in my opinion, uncharacteristically gave Miguel Cotto some props, and, where he doesn't normally show me, anyway, any class, any sign of class, and I'm talking about Mayweather. He did when he was talking about Cotto 2 days ago. And, the Cotto's trainer made a comment about, you're going to have to win in the ring or whatever. I mean, there was nothing really knocking anybody. He just said that his fighter was going to win, which everyone says. And Ellaby comes back and says this. It tells Diaz to just mind his own business, keep his opinions to himself. I mean, such a stupid, ignorant statement on Leonard Ellaby's part. You could all talk about guys that are, behind the scenes, so to speak, that are very smart and guys that move their fighters well. And, we've all heard the rumors of who's really running boxing and all this stuff. I'll tell you what, it would be hard-pressed to find an intelligent statement out of Leonard Ellaby. All he is a puppet for Mayweather. Floyd, uses him as his buffer. So, if he needs somebody to make a statement and Floyd doesn't feel like doing it because it's not fun enough for him, he'll have Ellaby do it. Ellaby is such an ass kisser to Floyd. It's actually sickening. It's kind of embarrassing for anybody that's manly. Let's just say that anybody that feels a man is a man is a man should look at Leonard Ellaby and the way he's acts like some literally like Mayweather's bitch. I mean, come on, man. It's a joke. You really think that he's a manager? I mean, do you really think that? I mean, listen, you could say Al Heyman, he maneuvers his guys. You can make some statements about a lot of people that, maneuver fighters and cut some great deals and everything else. Find me one thing that Leonard Ellaby did other than just what he did the other day. Acting like a yes man and looking like an ignorant slob. And that's what he did, in my opinion, by not giving the trainer a chance to just voice his opinion. They put the mic in front of the guy. What do you expect? This is his ignorance, Leonard Ellaby's ignorance in thinking that that's how you promote a fight. He should actually look at Floyd, because Floyd does a great job at promoting not only himself but the fight. And if he would have followed Floyd's lead with that particular question, he would have seen that Floyd was trying to beef up and give credit to Miguel Cotto because he wants to get credit. Floyd wants to get credit for beating Miguel Cotto. If everyone on the planet listened to my man Murphy, we would all be saying that Floyd is fighting another weak opponent. But I disagree. And if Floyd beats Cotto on Saturday night, I am going to give Floyd Mayweather all the kudos he deserves, because make no mistake, I don't care what Murphy says. I don't care what anybody says, that this is going to be a tougher fight than people think. I hope it is. Maybe I'm hoping more than it is. Do I think that Cotto's going to win? You'll have to wait for my predictions to find out. But anyway, Canadian Fight Fan goes on to say, I really loved the discussion with Tony Treem. And by the way, that's a segment that you can check out on YouTube or, of course, on BillyCBoxing.com. We have it's called Heavyweight Spotlight, and we're going to take out those segments, and it's going to be a series with Tony Treem and myself. Anyway, I want to give Murph his due. He says, I'm not saying it's a weak opponent. This is the second best guy he could find, but it's a mismatch. See, I don't think it's a mismatch. So let me put the words in your words, Murph. It's not a mismatch. Floyd may make it look like a mismatch because of his talent, but I think until the fight happens, just remember everybody saying the same thing when Manny was fighting Oscar De La Hoya, and everyone said the same thing when he was going to fight whoever. I mean, come on, man, come on. But anyway, you're making me go blank here. I'm not looking at that screen anymore. Canadian Fight Fan says, I love that Tony Treem heavyweight thing. I'm a big Liston fan too, but not as confident as you guys that he could beat the Klitschko's. You know what? There's actually a Canadian Fight Fan and anybody else listening. I got a link. I'm trying. Oh, my man Johnny Robbins sent me a link to a tribute to Sonny Liston that was fantastic. And if you've never seen it, I guess you could search YouTube for Sonny Liston tribute and check it out. You want to talk about a jab, a powerful jab? Watch Sonny Liston throw a jab. Sonny Liston gets a bad rep because, number one, everyone hated him, the media and everything, I mean. Everybody remembers Sonny Liston against Ali, Cassius Clay at the time. And, a lot of stuff's going to come out about that. after Muhammad's no longer with us. You watch. A lot of stuff's going to come out about that, proof about those fights and everything else. But the bottom line is, don't remember Sonny Liston by the Phantom Punch or him quitting on his stool, because this is a guy. I mean, if anything, I think he gets more. He should get more, recognition for being knocked out by a journeyman towards his second half of his career when he was trying to make a comeback than Muhammad Ali. So. But when you look at Sonny Liston, the power this guy possessed in both hands is unbelievable. Anyway, he doesn't think he could beat the Klitschko's. I do. I think he was big enough, and he had the jab. He had a jab that would, I think, be pretty tough for Vlad to get around. I think Sonny's jab lands before Vlad's. But anyway, he also goes on to say, I agree with Dax Khan that Dawson was trying to not let the fight get ugly, or Hopkins to get a cheap way out. He says, and we all believe that. That's a good. You noticed that well, and I can't find the word I was thinking. But he says, he also says, I can't believe that Don King only bid $50,000 on the Spinks Bundridge fight. Glad to see you on YouTube, Billy C. Good show. That is pretty shocking, isn't it? I mean, it's his fighter, and he bids $50,000. That's best way to say that he doesn't really want to fight. But anyway, Richard Abril. Did you catch the news about Richard Abril and the WBA? The wording of how the WBA is handling this. I mean, listen. If you disagree with me about the WBC being the worst out of the 5 major sanctioning bodies, and then the WBA the next worst. Again, just FYI, I have it WBO, IBO, IBF, WBA, WBC. That's the way I have them right now. Now, if you would have listened to the show 6 months ago, 7 months ago, it would have been different. A year ago, I had WBC up top, but of late, especially since this year took off, the WBC has just proven to me that they've become worthless. And that Jose Suleiman has totally lost his mind. I mean, this guy is out there. But what about the WBA? Now, first of all, I didn't think this was even an issue. The way it was that Richard Abril was the interim champion. All right, he was the interim champion in the lightweight division, and he fought Bam Bam Rios. Now, Rios and him would have been fighting for the title. Winner takes the title if Rios made weight, but he did not make weight. So therefore, the way it was ruled was that the title was still on the line. The real title was on the line. If Abril won, and if Rios won, it would become vacant. So we all know what happened. And we're all going to admit that, for all intent purposes, most people believe that Richard Abril won that fight hands down. Now, you could argue there's been some, arguments over that. The announcers were very biased on that fight, and a lot of people followed what they were saying. But the WBA evaluated it, and they said that they had the fight reviewed by 11 experienced officials, taken into the account of the reporter, the supervisor, and all gave the bout to Abril as the winner. Because of that, they decided to keep Richard Abril as the interim champion. How can you do that? I mean, we have to go by an official decision when it comes to that. You can't have a guy lose a fight. Now, what you could do is you could say that you order a rematch, which falls on deaf ears because Bam Bam Rios is not going to compete in that division anymore. So that's the first thing you could do as the WBA. You could say, hey, you want to fight for this title? We've reviewed this, and we think that it justifies to mandate a rematch. And then at that point, Bam Bam Rios says, well, I'm not going to fight the rematch because I'm out of this weight class. And then you could make the next guy in line fight Abril for the interim belt. You can't just all of a sudden give the belt back, in my opinion. You have to go by the official result. And we went through that with Chad Dawson and Bernard Hopkins. Remember, initially, they gave the win to Chad. And then when they reviewed it, they made the fight a no contest. Therefore, that belt went kind of back to Bernard Hopkins until this past weekend. So I think that the WBA needs to do something along those lines. Order a fight between the next guy that's in line to fight for this interim belt, which is all BS anyway, because we're not even talking about a belt. We're talking about an interim belt, but whatever. And make that happen. You can't just give the belt back to somebody. Or maybe you can because of the way the value of these belts are. But anyway, that's the latest with that. So I figured I'd pass that one along. Demetrius Andrade is the main event at the Mohegan Sun for Friday Night Fights on Saturday. What a ridiculous thing that ESPN did by doing that. Now, I know they've done that in the past. They had special, presentations of Friday Night Fights, the Friday Night Fight series on a different day. But why the hell would you pick this particular day when you have the Cotto-Mayweather fight going on? I mean, who is going to want to watch that fight? The only people that are going to watch that fight are the people that are refusing to pay the pay-per-view and can't find a stream of it anywhere. And they're jonesing and they're going to try to get a fight, to watch and hope that they get some, results. That's it. That's the only thing I can think of. Now, I can think of a reason to watch that fight if you want to go live, because you could go buy a ticket for that event at the Mohegan Sun. You can hang out there, have a great dinner, gamble a little bit if you want. Go check out the Demetrius Andrade against Rudy Cisneros fight live, and then hang around and watch the Mayweather Cotto fight on closed circuit, because that's what you get for the price of ticket. And our very own Dax Khan is going to be ringside. So if you go there, make sure you say hey to him and, ask him for a prize, because he's going to be giving stuff away. So I give credit to Star Boxing for continuing to put on shows, even though this particular one is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. We were talking about the Antonio Margarito fight, and it's funny because we scheduled Abel Perry, who is his opponent for his next fight, to come on the show. I wanted to see what he had to say about his opportunity against Antonio Margarito. But it was announced yesterday that Antonio Margarito got injured. Nah, it wasn't his face that got busted up. Nah, it wasn't his eye that got busted up. It was his foot. I think David Hay went into his camp and stepped on his toe, and now Margarito can't fight because of an injured foot. So we don't know if the fight's going to be rescheduled against Perry, when Margarito will be able to fight, or anything. There's no further information available. So May 12th, there's going to be some fights taking place in Washington, D.C. Nothing really of note. I love the guy Robert Don't Lose the Lose is going to be fighting R.J. Barnett. And now R.J. Barnett, or I should say Ty Burnett, not R.J., Ty Burnett, has got a record of 19 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. 12 of his wins coming by knockout. And he's taking on Don't Lose the Lose. Well, it's kind of funny that his nickname is Robert Don't Lose the Lose, because his record, are you ready for this? A nickname, Robert Don't Lose the Lose. He's out of Providence, Rhode Island, and his professional record is 13 wins, 40, yes, you heard it right, 40 losses, 3 draws, 9 wins coming by knockout. 40 losses for a guy with a nickname Don't Lose. Somebody's playing an awful bad joke on Robert Don't Lose the Lose. He's lost plenty of times, like 40. Listen, I have no disrespect for this promoter, and I have no disrespect for any fighter or anyone involved in the business, except for all the wannabes. But this fight, if somebody asked me to go to this fight, I would ask them to pay me to go to this fight. That is like the most ridiculous matchup I've ever heard. And anyone that's not related to these two fighters that actually buy a ticket, you better go get your head examined because there's something wrong with you, man. Really. I mean, to me, this is, we talk about black eyes in the sport of boxing, and I say how the club shows, carry boxing on their back. I've made that statement for years. I wrote an article about it several years ago that was published in many, many places. And the whole thing is this. That's the reason when you have mismatches, what's that going to do for Barnett? I mean, what is that? How does that help him, by fighting a guy like that? I mean, come on. This isn't a cagey veteran. This is a guy that gets beat on a regular basis. He's a professional punching bag that breathes and eats and craps, So, anyway, former world champ Jorge Barrios, 50 wins, 4 losses, and a draw, 35 coming by knockout, is going to be fighting again on July 13th. Now, the story that surrounds this guy is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of, I don't like it. They're talking about this guy fighting. Obviously, he's still got to make his living. But apparently, he has been already convicted and sentenced to do 4 years in the slammer. Now, I'm talking about 4 years in prison. This isn't a BS jail term that they're trying to make out like for Mayweather. But I'm talking about 4 years in an Argentina prison. All right. Now, what's he doing it? Because he caused the death of a 20-year-old pregnant woman in a hit-and-run automobile accident. And apparently, according to multiple sources, this guy has already been convicted and sentenced. But his team says, oh, that's not true. He hasn't been sentenced yet. And when he officially gets sentenced, that's when he goes to jail. So in the meantime, we're going to continue his career. Wow. That's all I'm going to say. Wow. I don't get it, man. I just wonder why people look at boxing negatively. I just wonder why. Here's another positive thing. Another delay was happening between the Moises Fuentes and Ivan Calderon fight. PR Best Boxing, which is out of Puerto Rico, lost a location again. This fight was scheduled to take place on June 2nd. It had already been rescheduled, I think, twice. And now they can't find a location in Puerto Rico that is going to work with them. So they're looking at this fight to take place now in July. They don't have a date or a location, but they are hoping that they can get it either someplace in Puerto Rico, where they originally wanted it, or the United States, or even Mexico. So once again, Moises Fuentes and Ivan Calderon fight has been postponed. So, hey, hang tight. We got a couple of things to do here with the, these.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the third time for London. As for the winter games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the summer and the winter games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on the scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the number 1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's disappointed net, coming at you on the count of 1.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You watch this on the Fight Now television channel. And listen, if you are in the, if your TV provider, well, let me start that over. If your TV provider is AT&T Uverse, well, then you need to get a hold of them right now and tell them that you want Fight Now right now because it's ready. They're ready to give it to you. All you got to do is call them and ask, just like anyone else. If you are not getting the Fight Now channel on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local TV provider and tell them that you want it, and you'll get it. And if you got an extra 30 seconds, do me a favor, fill out a survey we got, and it's right on the front page, www.billycboxing.com, and it says Fight Now AT&T. Click it, and it'll take you literally 30 seconds. And while you're there, cast your vote. We have a really interesting poll question up on billycboxing.com. And last time I looked, it was over 80% of people were in favor of Miguel Cotto. The question isn't who's going to win the fight. The question is who do you want to win the fight? Now, most of us are picking, what's his name? Floyd something or other, to beat Miguel Cotto. But most people would like to see Cotto win. It's amazing, and I thought it was a pretty cool question, so check it out. And speaking of stuff, you know, I'd love to give the guys in the chat room some due. And they said, you know, Murphy says he starts this thing and says, man, there's so much dislike in our sport. It's hard to keep up with all the shenanigans, canceled fight, legal problems, bad decision, corruption. It's around every quarter. Forget the novice fans. Why are we still fans? And, you know, the ever wisdom that comes from the old one. Yeah, David Allen, of course. He might be breaking the age record. I honestly, I know I kid him about his age, but I'm pretty sure he's 130 years old at least. But he says, you know, he comes back and says, yeah, you know, good thing we get to talk about Floyd, which I think is funny. But, you know, the bottom line is it's this, guys. You know, I always tell people all the time, you know, being a diehard boxing fan is a problem. It's like being an alcoholic or a drug addict. I mean, it's very addictive once you get bit by the boxing bug. And all of these guys in the chat room right now, I'm sure, would back me up on it. But there's one thing that makes it worse than being addicted to drugs or alcohol. At least, if you're addicted to drugs or alcohol, you can get help. You know, you got Alcoholics Anonymous and different drug programs, you know, to get you off this stuff. There's no Boxing Anonymous clubs out there, man. There's no way to get out of this business, you know. Once they get you in, you can never leave. But anyway, hey, listen, let's talk about some of the fights here that are taking place this weekend. Before I break down the two main fights, let's talk about some of the fights now. Yeah, Friday Night Fights isn't on Friday night. That's right, they're not on. But you do get to watch some fights tonight on Fox Deportes if you have it. And Daniel Ponce de Leon, who's been looking around for that fountain of youth for a long time, is fighting Eduardo Lascano. And Lascano isn't a bad opponent for Daniel Ponce de Leon, But I expect this. I'm looking at this as a stay busy fight for Daniel Ponce de Leon. I like Daniel Ponce de Leon. I wish he had a little more boxing. David Allen says, Billy C is wrong. I had the first pint. Tom poured it for me. Now, he's talking about, he visited Tom Cribb's. Okay, most of you don't know who Tom Cribb is, but Tom Cribb was the guy who fought and robbed my guy that I wrote my book on, Tom Molyneux, in England in 1810. Now, I know that David Allen was the ringside reporter for that fight, and I know that people respect his ringside report and the write-up he did in the London Times for that fight. But Tom Cribb opened up a pub in England after his boxing days were over. And, yesterday, David Allen is in the chat room bragging that he went to the original site. And I made a statement. And I said, and I remember, he's 130 years old, so, his eyesight's probably going and his faculties are leaving him and all of that. And I said, hey, was there any stuff in there about my guy, meaning Tom Molyneux? And he comes back, that's how much you don't know anything about boxing. It's not the original site. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So I'm typing back. I go, no, okay. He says, no, they knocked that original building down. They put up the new one. It's on the original site. Billy C, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do, because I read all about Tom Cribb's thing. And what I said was that they took the bar away from him before he died. He was sick, and his daughter was involved with it, and the whole story goes. And, tax problems, typical thing. And they ended up taking the pub from him. But they never took the name. They kept the name for all those years, and it still stands today. So, David Allen, come on, man. Come on. Give me, I don't know that he had bullets in his hand, Murphy. I know he's only kidding because they listen, you got to read my book, all right? There's a short version of it out already, but my book will be out, which is not exactly a War and Peace. It's going to be 200 pages. That's it, or a few less, actually, it came out to be. But you'll read all about it, all the facts about it. And the only thing I'm waiting for is, David Allen to send me the original ringside report that he did. That's the only one I don't have. I have all the other ones from the guys that were next to him, like Pierce Egan and what was the other guy's name? Not Miller, Murray or whatever. But anyway, my mind is going. But Ponce de Leon, yeah, that's what I need. I need to drink some of his special juice. But I'm picking Ponce de Leon in that one. Also, we'll jump to Demetrius Andrade against Rudy Cisneros. In that fight, Demetrius Andrade, I think he's evolved. I think he's a true fighter. I think that we were really hard on him. Maybe we were hard because of Teddy Atlas's stupid comments about him all the time. But we all got to admit that he's 16-0 right now. He's looking to get to be 17-0, and maybe we were all looking at the first 12 or 13 fights of his were against slugs. He is fighting a tough guy in Rudy Cisneros, but again, this isn't a top guy or anything like that. Promoter Joe DeGuardia, who co-promotes Demetrius Andrade, told me that they've sent out offers to fight all the big names in the junior middleweight division, and according to Joe, they've all turned them down. So, but Joe might have left out the part about how much money they were offering, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. I'm pulling for Demetrius Andrade. I think he's going to put on a good show. And I think that if for all the people that are going to be watching that event live, I think they're in for a great night of boxing. Another great card by Star Boxing, entertaining card, I should say. And then, of course, the Cotto-Mayweather fight. So, he is they're saying Cisneros is a joke opponent. Yeah, but he's kind of tough. He's a tough guy. But That's the knock on Demetrius Andrade. But the question is, who's going to fight him? They don't have a budget to really bring in somebody to really test him. So they're like all the other promoters, with the exception of the top three, are all looking for somebody else to pay the bill. So that's the problem with these young fighters. Fighters like Saul Canelo Alvarez, who's young, up and coming, and everything else. He's with Golden Boy, so he's always getting the high-profile fights and the big paydays because he's with Golden Boy. Golden Boy are the ones that write the checks. Golden Boy and Top Rank, whether you like them or not, that's the facts. The boxing is being controlled by two promoters. End of story. When you got guys like Star Boxing, Joe DeGuardia, Lou DiBella, and Dan Goosen, and Gary Shaw, and all the rest of them. What they're trying to do is they're trying to position their fighters. Yes, you see them on TV, but they're trying to position their fighters to get a shot at one of the other fighters that's owned by or promoted by Top Rank or Golden Boy, and in some cases Don King, although maybe he's totally made the statement of statements by bidding $50,000 on 51. Let's be real, $51,000 on that fight. But anyway, I'm picking Demetrius Andrade against Rudy Cisneros. And speaking of Cisneros, one of my favorite female fighters is Victoria Cisneros. Now, no relation to Rudy. Now, Victoria Cisneros has a very unflattering record, okay? Very unflattering. And if you've ever seen her in boxing pictures, she looks like a typical fighter, But if you've ever seen her dressed in street clothes, you would be as impressed as I am every time I see her. And my biggest dream all the time is when I see her that I always get that big hug and kiss from her, and I just love it. She's everything for me. But when I put that aside, she was a tough fighter. And I'll tell you something. If they handled Victoria Cisneros a little differently, and not the way I would like to handle her, but a little different with her boxing career, Victoria Cisneros could very well be a champion today. She was fed to the wolves very early in her career, and she was also mismatched many times as her career has progressed. Now, when you look at her record, her days are numbered because very few commissions would let her fight. I think she's got like 5 wins and 16 losses or something like that. But she's fighting against Adi Azari. Now, Adi Azari is a local product. They're going to be the co-main event on this Demetrius Andrade card. And Adi Azari, I don't think is that good. And to tell you the truth, I think Victoria Cisneros is going to beat her. I think Victoria Cisneros will not only beat her, will knock her out. So keep that one in the back of your mind. I'm picking Victoria Cisneros in that fight. Marco Captain Huck against Ola Afolobi. Ola Afolobi is a really tough fighter, but I think Marco Captain Huck, just like Marty said, is a totally different class of fighter. This guy is the full package. The only knock on Huck sometimes is that he doesn't throw enough punches. To me, that's why he lost to Alexander Povetkin. If he threw 3, 4, or even 5 more punches per round, there's no way they could have robbed him from that fight. And he fights in spurts. Although he was fighting a heavyweight and he was trying to save his energy and he was trying to be cautious, I don't think you're going to see any of that against Ola Afolobi. However, Ola Afolobi is a tough fighter, and this is not a layup fight for Huck. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight, and I agree with Marty that it may very well be the most evenly matched fight of the weekend. So I'm picking Captain Huck in a close one. Chris John against Shoji Kimura. Shoji Kimura is a top-ranked fighter. Chris John has been a featherweight champion for 110 years. I think Chris John is a little overrated. But you know what? Just like, I forget who said it, but, even if you fought, Greg Haugen said even if I fought my sister 20 times, she would win at least one of those fights. And you got to give Chris John credit for all the successful title defenses he's had. I'm picking Chris John. Now, for the last 2 fights I'm going to pick, I'm not going to pick the fight with what's his name, fighting Stevie Forbes, Vargas. I'm not going to pick the Jesse Vargas fight because to me that's not even a competitive fight. He very well may knock out Stevie Forbes in the first round. Stevie Forbes is a shell of himself, shouldn't even be fighting. let alone a guy like Jesse Vargas, who I think is a real deal, and I give Jesse Vargas a lot of credit, especially for teaming up with Team Mayweather. I think that was a smart move for him, and we'll see where he goes from here. But he's a real deal. I still think Josito Lopez beat him, but that's my opinion. First fight we're going to pick out of these last two are Shane Mosley against Saul Alvarez. Sugar Shane Mosley is a former world lightweight, lightweight, welterweight, and junior middleweight champion. He's got a career record of 46 wins, 39 coming by knockout, and 7 losses that he's never been stopped. He's got 1 draw. He's 40 years old. He's got a 71-inch reach, 5'8.5" tall, 388 rounds as a professional with a 71% knockout ratio. Shane Mosley was one of my favorite fighters and still is. He's a class act in and out of the ring. There's no question about it. He's a sure first ballot Hall of Famer. He was a very exciting fighter to watch. His last fight was a 12-round decision against Manny Pacquiao. It took place a year ago in May of 2011. Ironically enough, it's going to be almost 1 year, 2 days less than 1 year that Shane Mosley had his last fight. Now, in that fight, a lot of people criticized Pacquiao in that fight for basically hugging and tapping gloves with Sugar Shane Mosley. As a matter of fact, they touched gloves more times than they touched each other with solid connected punches. So I don't know. So when you look at Shane Mosley and you go to the fight before that, which was a year before that against Sergio Mora, that was a draw, which I kind of thought that Shane won that fight, but even so, it was still too close for comfort. And then, of course, the 12-round decision loss that he had against Floyd Mayweather Jr. The last good fight that he had was in 2009, and that was his 9th-round knockout over Antonio Margarito. I think that fight turns out to be the worst fight for him, and the reason why is because it's prolonged his career. If he wouldn't have knocked out Antonio Margarito in that fight, we may not have seen him again. Unfortunately, in his last, since that fight, he's had 3 other fights, and his record is 0 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. At 40 years old, he's a shell of himself. To me, he's starting to show a little signs of pugilistic dementia and or Parkinsonism, if you want to use that term. But he's still got some hand speed. He's still got some power. He's still got a chin, and he's going to try and use it all and test it all against a young kid who's almost 20 years his younger. His junior, I should say. Saul Alvarez is the world junior middleweight champion. He's undefeated with a 39-0 record. He does have 1 draw, and 29 of his 39 wins have come by way of knockout. He's 5'9", so he's got a half-inch height advantage over Sugar Shane, and their arm reach is the same, 71 inches. He's got more than 150 rounds less than Sugar Shane. He's got 248 rounds at a 73% knockout ratio. But the funny thing about this kid is at 248 rounds already, he's only 21 years old. Now, the knock on him is the level of his opposition. You got to go. Leonard, when he was coming up, when he fought Leonardo Tyner, that wasn't a bad opponent. He went 12 rounds with him. He beat Jose Cotto, Miguel's brother. He also had a fight against Luciano Coelho, who's a tough guy. Carlos Baldemir, I know given quality, thinks he's tough and everything else, but he was 100 years old when he fought and knocked him out. First time Baldemir ever got knocked out. I was impressed with that fight, only because he knocked out Baldemir. In the Love More Nadu fight, that fight was a little closer than people thought. The Matthew Hatton fight was one-sided. But Hatton showed a lot of heart and determination in that one. Ryan Rose was a fight that Ryan hung in there till the last round. Alfonso Gomez didn't last too long, 6 rounds. And Kermit Cintron was in and out in 5. And that was his last fight. He was pretty busy in 2011 by today's standards by fighting 4 fights. He's technically sound. He's got some pop. I'm pretty sure that he's going to win the fight. I want to see Shane Mosley win, but like everyone else, I'm going to have to pick Saul Alvarez in this one. Brings us to the main event. Miguel Cotto against Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is former super featherweight, lightweight, junior welterweight, and junior welterweight champion. He's currently the WBC world welterweight champion, and this particular fight is for Miguel Cotto's WBA super world junior middleweight title, if you can follow the bouncing ball, and for the vacant WBC diamond junior middleweight title. Mayweather's undefeated. We all know that because he thinks that greatness is defined by having an O. He's 42-0 with 26 knockouts. He's 35. You know, we all knock Floyd for not fighting this guy, not fighting that guy. But remember, he's 35. He's been around a long time. He's got a 72-inch reach. He's 5'8". He's got 303 rounds as a pro with a 62% knockout ratio. The reach advantage for him is pretty substantial. It's a 5-inch reach advantage, so pretty big. Now, you know, he did weigh 150 pounds, unlike somebody said. He never weighed a pound over. He did weigh 150. It was his heaviest weight. That was in 2007 against Oscar De La Hoya. His last 12 fights, 5, in my opinion, were against good opponents. Not great, but good opponents. 2 were against old, washed-up opponents. 4 were average at best, and 1 was just a smurf opponent. Those were his last 12 fights, and by the way, that spanned over 9 years. So for a guy to claim he's the best ever, you know, to fight 12 times in 9 years, and to fight of those 12, realistically, you could only name, in my opinion, 5 good opponents. Victor Ortiz is one of them. Marquez is another one. Hatton is another one. Oscar De La Hoya is another one. Zab Judah. To me, they were all good. The rest of them are very questionable opponents, questionable fights. You know, his fights against Jose Luis Castillo, many people think he should have lost both of those fights. As far as the Oscar De La Hoya, I remember one emailer giving me, "Oh, you thought that fight was close? You thought that fight was close? You don't know what you're talking about." Well, I did think that fight was close because Oscar De La Hoya was winning that fight, and it was a split decision win for Floyd. So, of course, that fight was close. And so was the Zab Judah fight. You know, Zab Judah, was hanging in there for a while. So, when he is fighting against decent opposition and you come at him, nobody is going to deny his skill. And he's got the speed. He's got the defense. I question his heart. I know he's got pride. I know he's got determination. I know he's got will, and he certainly has plenty of confidence. But I want to see this guy show me that he's got heart. And the only way, in my mind, that you can define heart is if you continue after something of a bit of adversity, whether it be a cut, whether it be, a knockdown, something. And I'm looking for that. Now, he fights Miguel Cotto. And the question is can Miguel Cotto challenge him at all? Miguel Cotto is actually younger. He's 31 years old, 4 years younger to be exact. He's a former junior welterweight and welterweight world champion. He's currently the WBA super world junior middleweight champion. Whew, there's a lot of talk in that. Like I said, the vacant diamond-studded WBC junior middleweight title's on the line. Cotto's got a record of 37 wins, 30 coming by knockout. He's got 2 losses. He was stopped both times, and one was at the hands of Manny Pacquiao, and the other were at the cement hands of Antonio Margarito that he avenged in his last fight, which was December of last year. He's 5'7", and he's got a 67-inch reach, so he's given up an inch in height and 5 inches in reach, which is going to be pretty costly for Miguel Cotto. He's got 269 rounds as a pro. Listen, the only way Cotto can overcome his weak defensive abilities is to bring this fight to Floyd Mayweather. He's got to be rough. He's got to go to the body. He's got to do things that normally he does not do. Is it going to be enough? Probably not. I'm picking Floyd Mayweather to win the fight. Unfortunately, I will be rooting so strongly for Miguel Cotto, but when I have to pick it by who is the better fighter, there's no question in my mind that the better fighter in this particular fight, at least on paper, clearly is Miguel Cotto. I wish it was Miguel Cotto. It's Floyd Mayweather. So I'm picking Floyd Mayweather in this one. So just to give you a quick roundup, I'm picking Daniel Ponce de Leon over Edward Lascano. I'm picking Miguel Cotto Floyd Mayweather over Miguel Cotto. I'm picking Saul Alvarez over Shane Mosley. And both those fights I'm going to be pulling for Mosley and Cotto. I'm picking Demetrius Andrade over Rudy Cisneros, taking Victoria Cisneros over Adi Adzari. I'm picking Marco Huck over Ola Afolobi, and Chris John over Shoji Kimura. Those are my picks for the weekend. Don't forget, we are doing a post-fight show immediately following the Miguel Cotto and Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight right here on Fight Now. You can get in our chat room on BillyCBoxing.com. We're going to open up the phone lines, and we want to hear from you. So make sure you come on over as soon as that fight's over. Within 5 minutes of the announcement, we will be going on air. So make sure you come on over and get in the chat room and watch us on FightNow.com because it's going to be a good fight. I'm telling you, Miguel Cotto is going to give him a better fight. We're going to be talking about, and I'm going to be waiting to hear from Murphy to have him say, you were right. Or Murphy's going to hear from me saying, you were right, Murph.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
All right. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question. Question is a tough one. You guys are stumped, man, and I'm going to give you another hint. But first and foremost, it's being brought to us by, I want to give a shout-out to StrictlyBusinessBoxing.com. And also ringnews24.com as well. So check out those two websites. It's all this trivia question is being brought to us by Star Boxing and their May 18th ESPN card, which is going to be taking place at the Albany Times Union. You can get yourself tickets for that right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the Star Boxing banner. Or you can come on up to the Halftime Bar and Grill next Friday and try and win some tickets because we're going to be giving some away. So make sure you do that. Now, if you're smart enough and slick enough to find the answer out to this trivia question, we got a great prize on the line. It's the Billy Misk book, the St. Paul Thunderbolt. It's the latest from Clay Moyle. You can get this book and all the other great books that we support by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and going into the Billy C. Boxing Book Club. All those books that are in there are offered at discount prices and also signed copies as well. If you don't want to buy one, you could try and win this copy by getting this question right. When was the first bout in which the details of the official scoring were announced by the ring announcer? When was the first bout in which the details of the official scoring were announced by the ring announcer? Now, I've been giving you guys hints all week, right? Well, I'm going to give you a 20-year span right now. This fight, this issue, this answer, falls in between 1930 and 1950. You got a 20-year block. Now, I've been receiving a lot of emails, people trying to get this because they all want this book. But you guys are guessing way too early. Everybody's guessing the early 1900s, 1920, even though I gave you the hints that it was 1920 to 1960. Then I said 1920 to 1950. Well, now I'm closing it within 20 years. It's 1930 to 1950. When was the first bout in which the details of the official scoring were announced by the ring announcer? If you know this answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Hey, I want to give a little kudos to my man Harold Letterman, HBO's Harold Letterman. I had to reach back and get it. Harold Letterman sent me this. And I don't know if you could see it or not, but what it is it's a official poster of the Hall of Fame that he was inducted in, the New York Boxing Hall of Fame. And he wanted to send me a copy of it, and I just wanted to make sure that I thanked Harold Letterman on air for doing that. That was a great thing, and I really appreciate it from my friend Harold Letterman for sending that to me. And I just wanted to thank him.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, well, then you need to use the ones that keep me out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. Huh? You like that, huh? 845-221-4099. On this day, May 4th, 1980, Leo Randolph knocks out Ricardo Cardona in the 15th round to win the WBA World Junior Featherweight title, and that took place on this day, May 4th, 1980, in Seattle, Washington. Hey, man, that concludes our show for the week. So, hey, make sure you enjoy all the fights. Make sure you find yourself right back here on Fight Now and in our chat room on BillyCBoxing.com immediately following the Miguel Cotto Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight. But one more thing I got to tell you. Make sure you tune into the show Monday morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel. That's the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. For all the information about the channel, you can find it at their website, www.fightnow.com. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Talk to you on Monday. Ciao, baby.